Kelly on top of state charges of sexual abuse in Illinois. R. Kelly has continually denied any allegations of sexual misconduct. Kelly made a brief court appearance in Chicago today after being arrested last night while walking his dog.
Tropical storm Barry expected to make landfall early tomorrow morning near Morgan City, Louisiana, as the first Atlantic hurricane of the season. We might want to check that.
Now, officials worry the heavy rains and surge waters may be just too much for the levees to protect New Orleans to handle. Hillary Lane is there with more.
Along the Gulf Coast, people are bracing for the big storm.
Car is gas, everything is on safe ground, and this is just like the walk and stretch before the storm.
Tropical Storm Barry is expected to be a hurricane by the time it makes landfall Saturday. The National Weather Service warns of dangerous storm surge, heavy rains, and wind conditions forecast across the north central Gulf Coast. New Orleans officials are urging residents to stay home and are telling tourists to seek shelter in their hotels.
Tropical Storm Barry is a dangerous and life-threatening storm. You do not have much more time at all before the impacts of Barry will be here.
The city of New Orleans is calling for a voluntary evacuation for areas that aren't protected by levees. Storm surge is already flooding Grand Isle as Barry heads for the Louisiana coast.
We're on the front line. As the crow, this is the storm coming. We're the first barrier island to protect New Orleans.
All floodgates in the hurricane protection system on the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain have been closed.
We know from past experience you can't wait until you're underwater to start calling for help.
The Mississippi River is already much higher than usual for this time of year due to earlier flooding. That, combined with the chance of more than 2 feet of rain and a surge of seawater, is why officials see this storm as a triple threat. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New Orleans.
Now, the National Weather Service tweeted that people should not dismiss the wind threat from Barry.
It says saturated grounds making it easier for trees and power lines to fall. And of course, we just said going into that news story that we needed to check on if it was a hurricane. And
right.
An hour ago, it wasn't. It is now,
right.
Or it's predicted
That's how quickly
to be.
it changes. Right?
Garrett joining us now to tell us what's happening with all this.
Yeah, and they're looking at the wind speeds with the hurricane. It's based on the Saffir-Simpson scale. 74 miles per hour makes it a hurricane. 70 miles an hour doesn't. It's kind of semantics, right? I mean, is there really that big of a difference between 70 and 74? Probably not. And with hurricane or tropical storm Barry, whatever it makes landfall as, it's going to be the rainfall and the flooding that is a way bigger risk than the wind. This is a live look in Springdale looking south. The Naturals in town tonight. Just got to see a nice little fireworks show here on our iCam from the Holiday Inn looking south. That's about the only fireworks you're going to see tonight. Regionally, there's not much going on. Looking down to the Gulf, this is from earlier in the day. I want to show you the eye of this. The new GOES 16 satellite is just so impressive. You can really get a feel for exactly where that eye is, and you can see how it's kind of wobbled back and forth as it moves to the west. A little bit of a wobbly track there before it eventually starts to make its turn towards the north. This is what it looks like with the rainfall, and those outer rain bands are already starting to make their way towards the north and getting closer to Arkansas. Here's the future track of Barry. It is forecast now to be at least a Category 1 hurricane. Probably a low-end Category 1 or high-end tropical storm, 70, 74 miles per hour. But again, it's that rainfall that's going to be the biggest issue. That swath of heavy rainfall right up the Mississippi River Valley. I mean, look at it. It's going right up the Mississippi. All that water is going to drain into the Mississippi and cause quite a bit of flooding along and south of it. And for our neighbors in southeast Arkansas around the Delta, they're also going to be experiencing not only river flooding, but flash flooding. Here at home, sure, we could see some rainfall, but nothing like the eastern side of the state's going to see. Right now, it's a nice evening, 75 in Rogers, 71 in Fayetteville. It's 81 farther south in Fort Smith. Hour by hour, you can expect lows to fall into the 60s. So one more day of pseudo-comfortable humidity. I mean, it's still warm this afternoon. It wasn't like it was cold or anything. But tomorrow, the temperatures are going to run reasonably lower than they typically do for July, and the humidity is going to be a little less than it usually is. By the time Sunday gets here, it starts changing. That high humidity stretches from about Memphis to Shreveport. Once we start seeing those dew points in the 70s come back, yeah, it's going to be that super sticky air again. It's going to be here by late weekend. This is HD Futurecast to start the day. Enjoy your Saturday morning. It looks fabulous weather-wise. 70s, dry air, drier than normal air. Lunchtime temperatures around 90. A little bit of clouds popping up from the tropical storm to the south. We'll see if any of these isolated showers manage to make their way in as they encounter some of that drier air to the north. They'll struggle as they move into that dry air. We'll keep an eye on it. Highs will be close to 90. Overnight lows will be in the 60s, and rain chances return on Monday and on Tuesday of this week as Barry moves across the middle part of Arkansas. Once Barry is gone, then the ridge builds in. And yes, that ridge of high pressure that you've been waiting for with a heat index of 110 and miserable weather and air that you wear and all the rest, it's back next week.
Is it still Barry when it is in Arkansas at that point?
It'll be Barry, yes.
It'll still get the name?
It'll still get the name and until it gets downgraded to a tropical depression from a tropical cyclone.
It becomes like 92-4C9 or something.
It was originally...
Barry's remnants?
Yeah, 92-Invest 92-L.
Mm-hmm.
Really. There's a debate in the weather community, too, on communication, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, 74 to 70, come on.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez. All right, Garrett, thanks. Well, the bracket is set for tournament portion of the Southwest Elite 7 on